know, we got to pour out a little liquor. Teardrop, teardrop, teardrop.
Okay.
So tell me, when did you get the call and find out that we were going to be sending Lorenzo off to yonder?
Yeah, so obviously the beginning of the season when we were approved for season 3, and the decision was made that once I read episode 10, season 2, and he wasn't dead. Obviously, there's more to come, because sometimes you just don't know. And we sort of the team and the agency and the network and all of us got together, and we figured what this arc would be and what it was about. So I knew well in advance of what was happening. I just didn't know how. And I thought, well, let's make the best of it, right? Because the fact of the matter is that there's always been this danger with the way that that Lorenzo and the lives that they all have. I mean, this is not for everyone. This line of work carries with it a very existential danger, and that is that you can pay with your life at any moment. And so I thought it was accurate. I thought that it was a very good way to tell the story, and in service of that story, I thought it was fine. I thought that's the way that the writers won't have it in place, and I instantly wanted to make sure that I found what the motivation and what the goal and what the idea would be for this arc, and how it should be kind of lived out. Every moment kind of like it was his last. And so there was this idea of, well, a little desperation, obviously, because he's not ever going to go back to jail. But then the whole idea of his time is counted. His time is already specific. And so he has to make sure to do enough inside that time so that he can kind of redeem himself and right all the wrongs, So I thought it was interesting. I mean, like I said, bittersweet. For us, as an actor, you just you're in service of that text all the time, and it has been a great opportunity for me. So, bittersweet, but I have a job to do.
He was a great character. So, thinking about that, his arc, Lorenzo, took us on an emotional roller coaster, because there were moments when we hated him, especially in the earlier seasons. But during these last few episodes, we saw his relationship with Cain develop in a way that we hadn't seen earlier. So can you talk a little bit about the relationship with Cain and Lorenzo, and your relationship with actor Woody McClain, because you guys have great chemistry that hate him.
Yeah, I mean, for that, Woody was the first one of the kids I met on set, and we've come a long way. Personally, Woody and I have become good friends, and I think that this opportunity for us to kind of play father and son has really opened up, our vulnerabilities with one another. And he's very generous with me. I reciprocate that generosity right back. And it comes through. So to hear you say that chemistry is there because we've made that commitment to each other as individuals, but also as professionals. And I think it's one of the biggest parts of the arc for Lorenzo this season, because he is the heir apparent. He does figure this out, and there was always this idea that maybe he could always be the enforcer helping his brother. And once that dynamic changed, then I think the struggle for Lorenzo was to, in the best way possible, to then just accept what was coming, right? Meaning like, oh, we're going to have to deal with the secret, and then he'll just run the business, and I'll figure out a way to, bring Drew in later, or keep Drew in the second spot in a way that he can tolerate it, right? Like to just align so that the dynamics of the family could work. But, I think the exploration was amazing, because you really see things from these two characters that you had not seen before. And I think that that's a testament to what the commitment that we decided to make, but also desperate times make you do kind of like desperate things, and kind of forces people to evolve in different ways. And you know, I think it's very true in real life when you change, and you don't really know how you're going to change. You know, your behavior, your approach to life, your thoughts, you know, all when you're faced with these consequences, and when you're faced with these odds, you know, you just have to adapt. And I think that's what that dynamic between Kane and Lorenzo was a constant adaptation, right? Like he trying to, you know, prove himself to his father and then gain control, which is ultimately always what he wanted. And then Lorenzo trying to make him realize that his strengths were not as a leader, but as a number two, because of what he brought to that, because of, as a father, he kind of understood that to be his strengths. But that changes. And when that changes, you don't know what's going to happen from time to time. And, you know, we're given these pages, and we're giving these words, and where we see where more or less where the pattern is and where we're going, what the path is going to be. And then it's kind of up to us to bring it to life. But that's what I got from it. You know, it's kind of like that evolution of those two characters. I mean, the same thing for Diana, right? And the same thing for Drew. Like, I think it was a terrible decision for Lorenzo to get Diana involved, but, you know, that was out of desperation. And the whole situation with Drew, you know, I think that obviously Lorenzo had less interaction with him in this process. But nonetheless, you know, he felt that, you know, Drew can kind of take care of himself in a way better, or he wasn't as worried. So maybe he didn't pay as much attention. But this conflict with his daughter, and obviously once Kane found out that secret, that's why those two relationships became kind of to the forefront.
So in wrapping up, did Lorenzo really love Monet?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I think Lorenzo really truly loved her. I mean, that's his wife. That was his ride or die. That was his number one. I mean, that was, you know, the backstory in my mind that I developed. I envisioned these two kind of falling madly in love. They seem so different, right? Like, I think they seem so different, and then they must have come together for you know, opposites really attract. You know, I envisioned this very passionate, very loving, intense courting and intense relationship, and then him teaching her the game was something that he took a lot of pride in kind of bringing her into. And then when he got busted, you know, he trusted that she would kind of carry out the work. And in order for someone to trust somebody like that, there has to be a very deep sense of respect and love and attraction and consideration, right? So I do believe deep down, I mean, and that's how I played it, you know, so I can tell you for sure that there was never everything was really authentic, in the sense that he truly did love his wife. He would have never crossed her. This thing with Zeke was really a mistake. He really felt like that was not, you know, he would not have done that knowing who the person getting, you know, if he knew that was Zeke. So yes, in short.